Welcome to my channel, The Three Mountains. My name is White Eagle. Today I would like to revisit this video, number 71, called When Trying to Meditate, because we reached the conclusion that our mind is plural. And so what are we going to do with all these thoughts that arise every time that we sit and try to meditate? What are we going to do with all these thoughts that appear on the screen of our minds? Let's talk about it. So today I bring you this video called the Unitotal Mind from a lecture given by Master Samael Aun Weor. First, my words. This video follows video 71 when trying to meditate. So you will be able to analyze your ego thoughts that emerge in your mind during a meditation practice. It is also in connection with video number 64, Death of the Ego Daytime and at Night. As Master Samael requests that we sit at the end of the day in a quiet place to meditate on events or situations that occurred in our lives during that day and analyze what egos manifested. I do believe that this practice can become a healthy habit to stick to at the end of a long day. And if we are consistent in doing this practice, then gradually we will move forwards towards a unitotal mind. So let's start. Master Samael states, could it be possible to have an integral unitotal mind, a mind not divided by the process of option, not divided in the process of conceptual election, an unconditional mind, a mind free from preconceptions, prejudices, and fears? Yes, says the Master, it is possible, but in truth it would be necessary to annihilate the psychic elements or undesirable elements that we carry in our interior. Does Gnosis have a system to annihilate those elements, egos? Yes, it has. So in reality, there are methods that allow us to integrate the mind, to make the mind unitotal. Which method? We would have to start with the psychological self-observation. By means of the psychological self-observation, we can discover our defects. Each one of our defects is represented by a psychic aggregate, ego. When one lives alert and vigilant, like a watchman in times of war, when one self-observes himself or herself psychologically, from instant to instant, one can self-discover oneself. Now, the Dalai Lama uses the expression to catch oneself when strong emotions or thoughts arise inside us. Now, the Master continues, undoubtedly, during our interaction with others, the hidden defects come afloat spontaneously, and if we are alert, then we see them. Any found defect must be judged analytically if we want to disintegrate it atomically. Here it is precisely where comes into play the structural analysis and the transactional analysis. Now we start by describing the structural analysis. Whenever we find a psychological defect in us, we must analyze it structurally by using the scalpel of self-criticism. What is, for example, the psychological structure of any given aggregate, be it of anger, covetousness, lust, jealousy, pride, laziness, or gluttony? We will have to observe it. Now I give you my example. If we observe, many women tend to sit to eat whenever negative emotions arise in them, or lonely people tend to get drunk to kill loneliness. So people sit and eat in front of the TV as well, and that is common, and then they tend to overeat. These are just examples. And here I give you an image of a woman overeating or eating at night. I count myself as one. I've done it in the past. Yeah, especially when negative emotions arise or we feel down. Now Master Samael continues. How does this aggregate behave in the intellectual center? What are its reasonings? In what way it manifests in the heart center, that is to say, the emotional center? What would be its feelings or emotions? And what are the characteristics of this aggregate in the sexual motor instinct center? So, here I put an image of, of a human, a person, and the seven centers inside the machine. As you can see, the intellectual center can be divided into superior and inferior. And as I said before, the superior type emerges as we go killing the ego. Yes, but the masses of the population just possess an intellectual type, well, inferior type. Yes. Then the motor center, which is situated at the top of the spinal column. And then again, the emotional center can be divided into superior and inferior. Again, I repeat, the superior type of emotional center will arise after we eliminate an amount of egos. Yes. Then the instinctive center is located at the bottom of the spinal column, and the sexual center. Now let's continue. Again, here I give you an example. What happens when women eat? They normally have these negative thoughts, arising in their minds. Worries, many they are worries about bills, about their children, husbands, worries that we create all the time. And so that is a manifestation from the intellectual center. Then what happens with their behavior? They feel worse when they are overweight. Yes, and here the emotional center enters into action, and especially when clothes do not fit us, and we go to the shop and we try one piece of clothing after another. Here we can see the motor instinct center in action. And of course, we feel frustrated because we do not feel sexually attractive. And you see here how the sexual center enters into play. And this cycle gets repeated again and again. The ego is repetition inside us. Now again, my words, the structural analysis of the egos allows us to see what centers are affected by the manifestation of any given egos, and with self-observation, the intensity with which they manifest and what destructive behavior or emotions create in us. So I give you more examples. So for example, if we have during our meditation practice sexual thoughts, they can come from the sexual center or the heart center if we are in love with someone. Also, it can affect the motor center. You notice people who touch women inside a train full of people, yes, for example, or on a bus. Then if annoyance thoughts arise, these ones can be turned into anger. Yeah, for example, you're driving and you get stuck in a queue. And of course, the motor instinct center may enter into action if you started shouting at other drivers. And of course, the emotional center also, because you lost your temper. Now, one more example is when you have thoughts about work that you need to complete in the computer. So here the intellectual center enters into action, and it may become a problem for the emotional center if you don't complete it in time, and we become frustrated or upset about it. So conclusion. Therefore, during a meditation practice, pay attention to how many thoughts appear on the screen of our minds. Start by taking one ego thought and with a structural analysis observe or follow it, how this ego thought manifests or affects the other centers of your human machine, right? So here imagine yourself sitting in meditation, and the many different thoughts, ego thoughts, arise, and you see which one is the strongest, or that manifests very strongly inside you, and follow it and find out what is going on, which centers are involved, right? Finally, Master Samael continues by saying that the structural analysis will allow us to know perfectly the structure of any psychic aggregate we discover in action. Once these structures have been understood, then we can pass to the transactional analysis. Up to here, I will continue my video, the second part. This is part one. Up to here because I'm doing it with my mobile phone, and if it goes longer than 10 minutes, then the video, I don't know why, it does not come out well. So just wait for part two of the video Unitotal Mind.